I'm Julia and this is my shed. So we're back in the workshop today after taking the chassis around the track a few times. I hope you enjoyed that footage. Sometimes you just need to do things like that just to get boost your enthusiasm back up. You know, it sort of give the other club members a chance to see what I've been up to for the last few months. And yeah, it does just get your morale up a little bit. It's, you know, it's difficult to keep enthusiastic about such a long project. So it was quite a successful run, I think. I've noticed that the screws here have got a bit loose. Don't know if you can see that, but this top one's loose. The other side's loose as well. So I wonder if this has been bashing against there. Maybe I can't remember if I Loctited those or not. So I'll Loctite them again anyway. So that's the first thing I've noticed. So we'll sort that out. The next big thing I need to do is do the valve gear timing on the right hand side. So I've got a few ideas on that, so I'll just move you around slightly. So the first idea that I've seen, I think Modelsteam Workshop or Steam Workshop. What they do is they put an adapter on the drain cogs, so basically one at each end of the cylinder. Put a bit of rubber tubing on and put it in water, so as the valve opens and lets air into the cylinder, you can see bubbles going through the water. And that seemed like a really good idea, so I might well try that. I'd need to make up some adapters. And another idea that came, I don't know if you're the same, but you sort of lie abed in, you know, just before you go to sleep, thinking about problems, and then suddenly an idea will pop up. So I remembered I've got this, which is, I'm not sure if you can see it, it's an endoscope or borescope. A very cheap one. This one's micro USB, so I've got an adapter on it so I can plug it into my laptop. You can get some with USB-C connectors that will fit into phones. With my previous phone I couldn't get this to work, but you know, they're £6 or £7 on eBay or Amazon, I think, so might be worth a punt to have a go with it one on the phone. This one's got quite a small, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's quite small. I'm hoping I can poke this into the steam inlet port and actually see when the ports are uncovered. I don't know if that's possible. This might be too long to actually sort of get round the corner. But I'm not sure if you can see, there's basically a very tiny camera with a ring of LEDs around it. So if I put my hand there, it might focus. Yeah, so there's a very tiny camera in the middle, ring of LEDs behind it, and you can, with this, there's a thumb wheel that you can adjust the brightness of the LEDs, so that can be quite useful. I think some of the better ones, you can switch between a front and a side view, and I think a side view would actually work a lot better for me. You can also buy these sort of self-contained. I think Aldi and Lidl often do them. Yeah, so that's the sort of main idea. So I don't know if you remember on this side, I put a little pointer at the back just to figure out where top dead centre is, rear dead centre is and front dead centre. So I'll have to do that same thing on that side. But yeah, if I can record the output from the endoscope, I'll include that in this video, just so you can get an idea of if it's useful for you, perhaps. Well, I'm just using the Windows camera app, and it does record. Okay, so that's about the right way up. Let's just have a look inside. Yeah, we can't really see very much there, can we? Unfortunately, I think we'd need... what have we got there? we can actually just about see the edge of the bobbin there, which is quite good. That hole there, which we can see quite clearly, that's the exhaust port. And this is the edge of the valve bobbin. For those that don't like a Rube Goldberg contraption, look away now. So what I've got is a magnetic DTI stand here. Obviously I've taken the DTI off. I've found some 3/8 tubing, which the camera just fits down nicely. So I've just taped the camera to that. Got a really good view of what's going on. So if I do a complete cycle now, hopefully you'll be able to see what's going on. So what you can see is the valve head there. I think that's about the full travel. The valve's gone right past the port to the cylinder, so I think that's too far. So I mean, it's not super clear, but we can sort of see, I think about there, that's where the valve is just opening to the exhaust, somewhere around here. And we're just over halfway on the piston travel. So if I go to the full extent of the piston travel, which is about there, you can see the valve is fully open. So I think what I'm going to do is just pull the valve forward a bit, and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, so I've just been trying to get my head around what's actually going on with the piston valves, because it's something I've never really understood properly. And I've looked at this absolutely terrible drawing of the valve, the piston valve sleeve, and it's horrendous. There's flipping, there's no constant reference. Some things are referenced from this side, some things are referenced from that side. You've just got this random thing, this 7/8, God knows what that even means. It's all just crazy, because you've got, if you look there, that suggests that's between there and there is 7/8, but then you've got exactly the same dimension, 11/16, and then it's there as well. So I literally haven't got a clue what's going on with this drawing at all. I don't know how anybody could actually make that to that drawing. It's terrible. And then I tried to draw it out myself, using all these crazy dimensions which made no sense at all. And I got really confused that I was trying to convert to metric and it just wasn't working. And after a lot of head scratching, I've sort of narrowed it down. Really, the only dimensions that we really care about are the size of the port that goes down to the cylinder, and that is one of the clearer dimensions on here. It's 3/16 holes. Okay, so this is your line of holes around the cylinder. They're 3/16, which is about 4.76 millimeters. So in this drawing, we're in the exhaust position. So the ports are, this is the piston head here. That's your PTFE. So we've completely uncovered the holes. We're just up to the very edge of the ports. So exhaust gas can come out of these ports and into the exhaust port and away. Okay, so that's sort of the minimum distance for the exhaust to be fully open. Okay, if we then look at the inlet case, this back edge needs to move all the way across to here. So that's the rear side of the piston head. So again, this is your PTFE section here. So if we look on here, this piston head is 0.312 of an inch, which is about 7.9mm. So this edge needs to move to here, and then it needs to move to there. So that distance is the width of the head plus the diameter of the holes, which is 7.9 plus 4.6. So if you can see, this is with the inlet port, the inlet side fully open. So that's the back end of your piston, and inlet air is in this area basically. You've got your steam inlets here, so the steam inlet can go fully into the port, so the port's fully open. What I hadn't never appreciated actually is that this inside part of the dumbbell sort of shape of the piston is using up some of this steam space, so that's going to restrict the flow to a certain extent, more than the exhaust side. But I don't think that makes a difference, because obviously we've got a lot higher pressure here. So that minimum travel is these two numbers added together. So let's just look at the imperial calculations first for Kev. So the valve head is 0.312 of an inch, and the ports down to the pistons are 3/16. So if we add those two numbers together, we get just a shade under half an inch, which is about 12.6875mm. And working out with millimeters, I just rounded down a little bit. We get 12.66. So that's the minimum valve movement that we need. So, and I think we're probably a bit tight on that. I think we're barely getting 12mm. I think one side's better than the other. So that's something I'd had a look at over the weekend. I didn't film it, but the right hand side valve movement's a bit less than the left hand side, so it's not as good. But what this kind of means is that we can set that, if we set the maximum movement of the exhaust of the valve forward to, so it's just completely uncovering the ports. On the inlet side, we should be, because I think we've just got that half an inch travel. If we set it to here, we know that, well, we can actually measure the movement of the valve head and make sure that we're getting this half an inch of travel, which I think we are, but it's a bit close on one side. So again, that's something that needs to be investigated. So let's adjust the valve so that on the exhaust stroke we're only just completely uncovering them here. I think at the moment there's a bit of a gap between the ports and the piston head at the full extent of exhaust travel. That means this is the front side, so we need to move the bobbin so it's only just completely uncovering these. Putting this into practice then, what I'm going to do is move the right hand valve gear so that we are as far back as possible. I think we're quite close to that now, but let's just right, so that's, the valve has stopped moving at that point. If we now look at the camera view, you can see that the ports to the cylinder are fully exposed, and then quite a bit more. So I think what we need to do now is to move the bobbin forwards from this point. So I'll have to take this camera out of the way, I think, temporarily. And what I've got is a couple of tubular spanners. So this is for the lock nut, and then this is to adjust the actual bobbin. So as a reminder, we're using the John Bagley style bobbins, which can be adjusted from the end, thankfully. Okay, so I'm just undoing the lock nut. I think we need quite a bit of slack on that, so let's move the lock nut out the way. So handily, I've still got the light on the camera, so I can actually use that as a torch, which is quite useful. Okay, so just measured the distance of the bobbin, and that's at 42mm. And now we'll go all the way forwards. So that should give us our 12.8mm, hopefully. So right, I think that's as far as it will go. And that is 30.65. So the difference between those two numbers is 11.35. So we haven't really got enough valve travel on this side, not for full performance. But I think we need to establish why. I think it's like nearly 3mm difference, because the other side we're getting about 14mm. So we need to figure out why the valve travel on this side is only 11 point something. What I think it's to do with is the return crank isn't quite in the right position. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. But yeah, that's not looking great. So what I'm going to do now is the same as I did on the previous side, which is to accurately discover the front and rear dead centre. So I've got a pointer set up on the rear wheel at sort of axle height, and I'm going to move it forward till the piston stops moving, make a mark, and move it back until it starts moving, make a mark, and in between should be the front or rear dead centre. So just like I did before. So I'm going to do that now, and then we'll see if this is actually in the right place. Okay, so we're at front dead centre now on the piston. So what we need to do now is move from max to min on the expansion link, and this shouldn't move. So I'll just check that. It is actually moving a very small amount. Let's see if we can measure that. Okay, so we've got about 1mm of movement now. That probably means that this isn't quite in the right place. So we've got a few options. We can make this adjustable. I've got an idea on how to do that. That's the first thing we could look at. Now the other thing is that we're quite high up in this slot, so if we moved this down we would get more movement because we're nearer to this actuating rod effectively. Now the thing that stops this from working is going any further is the clearance at the back end here, more precisely on the other side. So one option would be to extend this arm. So what I was thinking is if I make a cut here, just after this where it flares outwards, if I make a cut across there, possibly a cut here. We could graft in some more metal. That's one possibility. Okay, so we'll fix one problem at a time. We've ascertained that the angle of this isn't quite right. So I've marked its current position. I'm going to take these screws out. It's actually quite a stiff fit on the end of the pin. So what I could probably do is adjust it just by tapping the rod and moving it around on the shoulder that it's already on. So we'll have a go at that. Just see if we can get rid of that 1 mil of movement that we had before. And if we can, that might give us enough movement on the valve. So we're only a mil or two short. So let's do that and see how we get on. So that's the all the screws out. What I think I need to do is for this part to go backwards slightly. So I'm just going to use a soft face mallet. Okay, so I think that's about the amount we need to move. So if I just bring you back now, we're at the furthest point backwards, and hopefully you can see we're just about to touch this up right now, whereas before there was a couple of mil difference. I'm now going to move to front dead centre again and see if we've lost that movement. So I'll just have to do that quite carefully because we don't want to that crank, the return crank to so there we go. So that's this fully forwards. So let's have a look at what happens with the return crank now. I'll just bring you round slightly. So what we want now is for this not to move at all. So I'm measuring that. I'm going to zero these, and then we'll move from full forward to full reverse. Let's measure the distance again. I've got even more now. 2.4. So that's not necessarily the answer. What I can do now is measure the valve travel though. So let's do that and see if we've got the full valve travel we need now. Okay, so now we've got 12.68. Yes, so 12.68 would give us the exact valve travel we need. So that would be a fix, which is interesting. So the other thing, I'm just having a think now, thinking out loud, is I'm just wondering whether it's actually the other side that's wrong. And if we adjust the other side, we'd be able to come lower down here, and then that would give us the proper valve travel. I think what I might do is put the screws back in this, put this one back, loosen the other side off, and see if we can get a better travel on the expansion link. Let's do that. Let's not rush into anything. Hey, we've got all day. Okay, so we're back on the left hand side again. So I'm going to take out these screws and just tap this forwards, just to see if we get a bit more movement, here basically, and still keep our valve travel. Okay, so I had quite a bit of a faff to get the these locking collars off, because obviously the grub screw deformed the thread, but I've filed those areas flat now, so I'm run a die down this screw, so we should be okay now. So I've removed this collar, and I've been able to push this forward about another mil. We're much closer to the bottom here, so I'm just going to measure the valve movement at the crosshead. Okay, so we've now got about 15 mil on that side, but really what we're interested in is the other side, see what's going on there. So I'll just measure that while we're filming. Okay, so we've got a tiny bit more movement now, about 13 mil, which is more than we need. So I mean, that might be the solution. Just going to try adjusting it a little bit more, just to see if we can get a bit more. So we've knocked 2 mil off that now. So let's see if we've still got clearance at the front there. Yeah, we've got loads of clearance there. That's good. So we could even go a bit more. And measure the movement on this one. So we've still got 15 on that side. We've got 14.7 on this side, so that is fantastic. We've got much more valve travel now. Now I need to figure out a way of pinning this in that particular point, which might be fun. So let's have a look, see how we're going to do that then. So after a break for lunch, what I've decided to do is drill out these holes slightly. I put a centre pot mark on this and on the pin, so I could see what the amount of rotation I need to make, and it's about 1 mil. So I'm going to creep up on that 1 mil. What I'm going to do is drill out the clearance holes for the 2 mil screws to 2.75. That's what this drill is. And we'll see if that gives us enough rotation. The head of the screws is 3.65, so there'll still be enough engagement to hold it in place. This is quite a tight fit on the crank pin, but probably what I would do once I'm happy with the location of this is to drill in one of these positions and put a taper pin in just to stop it rotating. I think that's probably the best bet. So we'll drill these out and then we'll see how that looks. Okay, so we haven't got room for the old collar now because we've got much less of a gap there. I've just got about 3.5 mil of washers in there at the moment. and we'll see how we get on with that. We can always make up a new brass, well, new one of these. I don't think I can reuse. I might be able to bring that one down to it really needs to be under 4mm, which means we can't use the grub screw really. Not that we need to. So I've tightened these up. This is actually quite a stiff fit on the crank pin. So you should be able to see that these screws aren't central in the countersink anymore, or counter bore. You can see they've moved a little bit that way, a little bit up. So the whole radius rod has moved round by probably about 1mm. I've got my centre pop marks lined up. So I'm quite pleased with that actually. That's working pretty well. I think I'll try and do the valve timing now and just hope these hold it in position. I don't really want to start using Loctite or taper pins until I'm absolutely confident it's going to work. But if I just bring you round to here, what you can see now is where the die block is right at the bottom of the slot. It's not into this area, but it's right at the very bottom of the slot now, whereas before it was probably about here. So it's come down quite a lot, and that's given us a lot more movement on the right hand side, and the right hand side now matches the left hand side in terms of valve travel. So we're well over the 12.86mm that we calculated, so I'm pretty confident now that we've got enough valve travel to fully open and close the valves for inlet and exhaust. I'm a lot happier now that we've got a bit more clearance on the back of the valve heads as well. So that's the fullest extent rearwards now, and there is actually a bit of a gap there. I need to reattach these, but there is a slight gap there now, whereas before it was pretty much touching, and we're going a lot further forwards. So I think we've gained at least 1mm of travel on this side, but we've gained 3 on the other side. So as I say, I'm a lot happier with that. I know it might seem like a bit of a bodge, but the problem is we're trying to amalgamate parts from the kit and also parts from Model Engineer's laser, which is to the Spink drawing. So, you know, a little bit of massaging here and there is bound to be necessary. But that was quite a low impact change. So I'll leave doing the taper pin for now, and we'll I'll come back to that if I'm sort of happy we're getting the right valve events. So yeah, next job, timing. So this is the starting position on the right hand side. So you see we're definitely clearing the cylinder port there, and then we're coming halfway across the exhaust port. The total distance is about 13, nearly 14mm. So I think that's okay. So probably ready to try running this on air now and seeing how it runs. Okay, so now we're at 100 psi. Ooh. So looking at where the pointer is and where the valve is opening, where it's stopping, I think at front dead centre we're opening the inlet valve just a bit too soon. So I've been pushing the valve backwards to retard its timing. So let's see what happens now. So I think I'm getting close there now. This is at 120. So this is at max pressure from my compressor at the moment, so we'll see how it copes. So that was pretty good. What I've just done is chuck a load of steam oil into the steam inlet just to see if that provides a bit more, sort of fills in the gaps a bit. I don't know if that's going to work or not. That answers that question, doesn't it? Consistently giving about 75 there, so it was definitely happy on 75. So I'm pleased with that. Let's do the other side. Woohoo! This is the left hand side. I haven't put any steam oil in this side yet, but I'll just get it over dead centre, see what happens. So yeah, adding a little bit of steam oil, or thick oil anyway, just seals that gap around the PTFE rings, PTFE valve heads. Makes a huge difference, absolutely a huge difference. So we're not losing all the air now. So what I what we saw there basically was it will now start at 120 psi, but once it's started it will run at about 75. That's on one cylinder, so either side will run on 175. So if I find a way of connecting at both sides, it's going to be even better. So I think that's the next thing I need to figure out, is how we're going to do that. But I'm really pleased with that. It's moving under its own steam, kind of. Brilliant. Woohoo! Probably didn't actually mention this. I've got the rolling road installed. I've had to put it on a bit of wood, jack it up a little bit. But we're running on the rolling road, so, which is brilliant, because that's obviously a little bit more friction than just running sort of suspended in midair. So what a brilliant step forward. I'm ever so pleased. So yeah, I think we'll call it a day there. I think there's quite a lot of footage to wade through here. It's going to take me a week to edit this, I think. So I hope you enjoyed this. Like, share and subscribe. Please leave a comment. I'm always interested to hear what you have to say. Yeah, what do you think? Do you think moving that this part back a little way, do you think that's a valid fix? But yeah. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one.